So y'all, hey, J Mac Entertainment here, J Mac ENT, J Mac Enterprises. Anywho, following up from my Instagram and my Twitter and all my social medias, I got a story to tell about transitioning as a full time artist. So I decided to be a full time artist in 2020, and it's definitely been a ride. Especially when it comes to Web 3, Web 2, all of that. It's definitely been a ride. Um, April 2020, contract ended with Universal Music Group as a data analyst. Thank God, creator, because I was over that shit. I'm going to be real. Me and corporate, we're incompatible, baby. My first 2 weeks working there, I had stress attacks, anxiety attacks, and I was just like puking, nauseous all the time, bloated. I had to get acupuncture and start taking medicine for my stomach because I had so much anxiety and angst when going to work there. Like, I was not ready for that. Coming from Memphis, coming from a city that used to be a music industry and no longer really exists, and being around people who don't really tell you how to be in that life of corporate music industry. And it wasn't even the fun stuff. It was a contractor gig. So they don't it's personally, in my opinion, I didn't feel like they really cared for us much. They just wanted us to do a job and go. I applied to many different jobs while I was there, made impressions, and it still did not give me the job that people say do, network and all that. It was all a lie. It was just a nice paycheck where I forgot why I was there in the first place. Um, I needed to leave out of LA because I was just there living paycheck to paycheck. And it wasn't really getting me towards my goals. I forgot why I was doing it. I forgot being an artist. I had to get out of that. So April 2020, I decided after that ended, I was not ever in my life going to work full time, any contract, any type of job for anybody ever again, because I knew that that didn't feed my soul, and it has never fed my soul to work for somebody full time just to get a paycheck. It was bad on my health, my fitness, everything. I had to go to chiropractors. I was sitting too long. It was bad, y'all. Um, so I had to dip. I went to Columbia, my first artist residency, and honestly, that experience wasn't the greatest. It was like I got to reconnect with my ancestors in the Andes Mountains and nature. It was really great. However, I was surrounded by only white people, and it wasn't good for me mental health wise. They always said they were broke, and I stopped calling myself that years ago. Like, I did that work, and it felt like that work was being undone being around them. Like, I wasn't making no artist sales, my fundraisers didn't get met, none of that. And before leaving, it was a stress leaving out because I had a fake friend. They was not my friend. They complained about helping me every step of the way, and I've done so much for them and didn't complain not one part to helping them until we gonna get to that part later. And it just was just like I felt like I just really wasn't supported. Um, I feel like many times when I do fundraisers, people always have some slight shit to say to me. Whether it's why don't you offer services, why don't you do this and this, and I do, and people see your services and then they try to lowball you. Meanwhile, they'll go to the same another person of another color and pay them whatever, and probably get mediocre ass work allegedly. Um, and what else? I feel like it's because one, I'm dark skinned. I feel like people were treating me away. To me being from the South, they felt like I had to do stuff to get somewhere. That whole you need to grind, you need to crawl before you walk mentality is toxic and a fucking lie. No, Gen Z, I love y'all very much because y'all straight up know your worth and was like, fuck out of here. $60,000 a year for a tech job is shit. And people before that generation, sometimes millennials and before would be like, no, just accept what you can get. That's why we having a crisis now, because we have a lot of people accepting what they could get instead of fighting for what they deserve. A lot of times toxic, psychological books will tell you no one owes you anything, and that's a damn lie. If you are doing a service and work and giving your time and energy, they owe you that respect. Period. And also, people don't do things trying to get stuff out of people. That's called being nice. I'm not nice. I'm mean as fuck. I'm going to be kind though, because it's easy to be kind. And as soon as you start being on your bullshit, I'm going to be mean as fuck to you, and I'm going to read you left and right for filth. Sometimes, if it is worth the energy. Sometimes, if it is worth not being stepped on. See, character is over everything. And I also ain't going to let you step on me. So, putting that out there. So fast forward, after that 3 months experience of being around white folks who said they were broke, it was like beautiful, right? But people thought I had all this money and shit because I took myself out of the country. First of all, to travel outside of the U.S. is not a lot of money. The same money you spending on a Birkin bag or a Teflar is the same money you could spend on an all expense paid trip out of the country. I'm talking planes, Airbnb, food, medical included. For $400, you could do that. So I'm gonna just need people to change the perception about how accessible it actually is if you are in the U.S. to travel outside of this country. It is not easy for people outside of the U.S. to just get a job and get some money and go. We could do that here. However, everybody don't have the mental accessibility to just work any job. That person is me. I'm on the spectrum. I was gifted, still gifted, am gifted, is, and I was on the spectrum the whole time, but people thought because I'm an A student, I'm the valedictorian, I'm going to honors, that nothing was wrong with me. Fast forward to college, I'm in therapy for anxiety and PTSD and trauma on account of class, on account of racism, systematic oppression, and prejudice I experienced. So, yeah, shit is real for mental health. Mental health is a brain. That's our brain. It's an organ that controls the majority of our bodies. And when it's not functioning properly or getting the right chemicals, like chemical imbalance is depression, we are not fully functioning at our highest selves. That everyone wants to talk about being so spiritually woke, they forget to talk about physical health. See, this whole pandemic was more than just physical health. It's also mental health. And the two coincide because mental health isn't some intangible thing. Spirit isn't some intangible thing. It's all a frequency. And if all of our bodies are resonating on a frequency of electromagnetic waves, like everything we touch when we go across the carpet is electricity. So think about that for a second and believe that your brain is a physical health. So if your brain, which controls your body, is in a crisis, you will be in a crisis. Your perception of reality will change into that crisis. And a lot of people will say, well, you're ranting and all these things. A lot of people on the spectrum rant because they're going through lots of amounts of emotional duress. And they're not able to fully process because they're not in a safe space to do so. And that was me for the majority of my life. In LA, it was cool until it wasn't. When I started working corporate, it was before that. It was like I finally had an apartment. Then I didn't have the job to pay for it because they, in LA, they cut jobs. They cut you out of jobs when, let's say, I was working at a ice cream shop where I was rolling ice cream on a cold plate, like fried Thai ice cream. I was doing that. My second job in LA. And they let me go because the season, it was cold, so customers stopped coming in as much. And so they started cutting employees. And it wasn't because I was a bad employee, because I was there 39 hours a week. Yeah. So when people come to me sometimes with that slight energy, like when I ask for money for fundraisers and shit, they be like, "Oh, you just don't want to work," and I'm just like, "Nigga, you don't know me. Y'all don't know me." And when I do my best to get people to know me, ah, I've definitely had a lot of people backstab me and treat me with some weird ass energy of jealousy. Like a lot of people, they'll see you with this energy that they don't have about themselves, and they be jealous of it. Even if they have all the money in the world, they'll be jealous of you. I noticed that. So fast forward, I had to come back to the U.S. I was unhappy. I was miserable. I was upset that I wasn't able to get my unemployment and just stay the fuck out the U.S. That would make sense, right? Nope. Had to come back, staying on somebody's couch. Grateful. I didn't want to be on somebody's couch at 20 fucking 7 years old with a degree. Couldn't get a job. Duh, applied. Of course, I applied to many jobs before that job ended. I worked at UMG for 2 years. Contract ended, and I was applying to jobs every week, nonstop. So I just get so irritated when people be trying to perceive you and act like you not doing the work, and you're doing everything. But something I'm starting to learn in my villain era is stop giving a fuck about what other people think. They gonna talk about you regardless. They gonna always have some slight shit to say. Fuck them. Don't be suffering in the background when you need help and your basic needs aren't being met. Just say it to the right people. Stop telling your friends and family that you need help. They not always there to help you. If you gonna expect them to be your biggest supporters, you gonna always have disappointment. And I'm not even manifesting that. I'm just saying what I've seen in the past. This isn't even just my personal life. This is what I've seen in other artists' lives. Like, don't expect them. I got most of my sales from rich white billionaires. Did they give me $1 billion? No. Cause my price on my first NFT that got sold was 1 ETH, and at the time that was 3K. Oh wow, Jay, you could have got your laptop then. No, I wasn't, because like I said from my Instagram, if you were there, or my other social medias, I was in roommate situations in New Orleans, right? So I wasn't having enough money to have my own apartment, pay rent. I wasn't in comfortable situations with people. These are people I didn't know that did not respect me or my space. They weren't raised the same as many of us from the deep south, where a lot of us from the old school, we know how to cook, clean, fix things, clean up after ourselves. A lot of people still acting like they in fucking college and they're babies and be dirty as fuck, stanky, always have shit to say, don't speak unless spoken to. Like, they don't speak when they come in the room. They don't say, "Hey, how you doing? Good evening." None of that. They just straight up go in, disrespectful type energy. And that's what I was dealing with. And then the second situation, I could have been gone, right? And I stayed to, play in a homie's concert. They paid me, of course. It wasn't a lot of money. I'm grateful, but I could have went the fuck home. When it comes to being a full-time artist, you got to make sure you're taking opportunities that are for your best benefit. And don't feel bad. Like, everything, you can't be doing charity work all the time. And it's not even from a class standpoint. It's from, are you able to take care of yourself and also help others? No, then don't do it. It has to be like that in order to be able to take care of yourself in a society that is selfish. Sick of them popping fireworks. And for the people who ain't from the hood, that was a firework. I go to the gun range, and that's not a gun. And yes, if you really want to get, I ain't getting into that about guns. Being from the deep south, I believe in guns because there were a time where we were our own police. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. Anywho, because some people, not from the D South, being from big metropolis areas, they have no idea how it is. And then you're me, you're two spirit, you're short, 5'4", 5'3" when you're stressed because you're hunched over on your computer trying to figure shit out. And you need to have a gun because I could be walking down the street, any city, right? And weird men roll their windows down thinking I want to talk to them because we have a large sex trafficking crime in the U.S. and especially in the South. In big cities like L.A., New York, Colorado, they snatching us. So yeah, I believe in guns. I'm not gonna disarm myself against people who wouldn't have my back. Anyways, like this this place we're living in the U.S. is it has to do better about community because I don't see it. I don't see one. Not even in the place, not even in New Orleans as I thought I would see it. I love New Orleans, and I still see they own people be suffering at the hands of some people, be greedy, selfish, exploitation, and it's just not New Orleans where it's happening. It's all over the deep south, everywhere in the U.S. This place was founded on genocide and capping off of people in capitalism. Capitalism is old, but the capitalism that we're using is not the capitalism our ancestors were using. Okay, I just want to put that out there. People always like to bring up them old books by old white men, and that shit absolutely does not matter when it comes to indigenous people of color. So yeah. Um. So my point is, of all it is just like I really had to learn to take care of myself, listen to my intuition. I know some people be like, I believe in God. I'm like, you do know God is your intuition, right? That goes over some people's heads. But that's a whole, like, I was raised Baptist Christian. And B, if I was a valedictorian, you don't think I fully studied the Bible. You don't think I fully understood all of that. And then, to understand more, I read a whole bunch of other religious texts, systems, spiritual systems. I like to say I study the occult because I really want to understand what is going on really in nature, in this universe, humans, beings, everywhere. Like, what is really going on? And now I know, and I'm just like, there is no one view. There is positive and negative. There is real evil. But when you flip it, it's live. And people say there's hell. I'm like, well, hell is something you make in your mind, and you can also create heaven in your mind, which will ultimately create the reality that you perceive around you. So that is also real. And I don't really care if it goes over some people's heads because if you really want to know me as an artist, know me for me. Because my art is going to show you the truth. It's going to show you ways to heal yourself, ways to sustain yourself. Because you don't have to be a starving artist. I learned that in my songwriting camp in LA, from the Latina artist who was the first winner of the American Idol. I have to go back and find her name. When I do, I'm going to put it in the comments, of course. And she said that you don't have to be a struggling artist. That's a lie. People like to put that on people of color, especially indigenous people of color. And she came from Venezuela, and Venezuela really going through it right now, more than worse than the fucking U.S. And like, she's like, we can thrive as artists. You can fully sustain yourself as an artist. You don't have to have the backup plan. You just really have to commit, be consistent, and know that you can do it. Not believe, know that you can do it. Because oftentimes people tell you, you need to believe in yourself. I'm like, no, you need to know yourself. You need to know yourself so well that it don't matter what people tell you, even if it resonate or don't resonate, you know that it's going to work out no matter what. Like, whatever you're going through, know that it's going to work out. You have to know it. Because there will be times where it's like, oh my gosh. Forget that. You got to know that it's going to work out. You have to know. It's a matter of knowing with your inner self and higher self that it's going to work out. And that's how I am right now as an artist. Like, lately, a lot of people kept asking me to do this and this and this. And they weren't, trying to offer compensation of living accommodations, travel accommodations, eating. They're just like, oh, I could pay you. And then the pay be like, this is how much I could pay you. I'm just like, well, I'm not able to do it. Thank you for the opportunity. Maybe some other project in the future. That's how I do it. People say don't burn bridges. I'm like, I'm not like a real professional won't burn the bridge if they knew. People be trying to exploit if they knew that what they were doing was in your best benefit and theirs. Like for the projects I did, I made sure I could at least feed people and that I wasn't moving so slow. And also, I'm giving credits. I'm putting it on the blockchain. Like these are different things that I'm doing, right? So make sure that when you're doing anything with anybody, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It should not just be exploiting one's person. That 48 laws of power get you in trouble because it's basically teaching you dark psychology from a narcissist. And that is no longer going to work in this reality, especially with this alleged CERN that's happening. I mean, real talk, I had dreams of multiple realities today and yesterday. And that shit is very, very real. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Um, yeah. So what else? What else? What else? My experience in the songwriting camp was really great. I'm so grateful. The app Make It paid for my trip there and back, my hotel, my meals, well taken care of. Right? That's how it's supposed to be as artists. They're supposed to at least do no, not even, they're supposed. That's the bare minimum. They're supposed to do that. Anybody want you to do a project, they gotta pay for your travel, lodging, and foods like that, and pay you. Like that's basic things, right? You're an artist. You're doing a service. That's your talent, and they need to take care of you to be able to do your best at the job. Cutting corners is over, especially after your 3 year pandemic. Now we're in the endemic. Like that shit is over. Like people are no longer accepting the bare minimums of lesser than they're owed. Yeah, people say you're not no one owes you. Yes, they do. You're giving your energy and time. They supposed to compensate you for it. Period. It ain't being capitalistic. It's being smart about taking care of yourself. We have a lot of artists who starving because they don't know their worth. And we have a lot of people waking under $60,000 because they don't know about negotiating. And they've been told for so long you need to crawl before you walk. Like it's been embedded in us to still be in a state of servitude. And everyone's not meant to serve in those ways. Everyone's not meant to render services. Everyone is like that. Everyone is not meant to charity. Everyone is not meant to save the world in that way. Everyone has a different path and a different journey, and it is to be respected. Everyone deserves kindness and respect. Respect is also earned as easily as it's given if you are kind instead of nice. Nice is you doing shit to make sure you get something in return. Kind is you're doing shit without expecting in return. Now, when it comes to business and you want me to do something for you, you're commissioning me. My commissions are no less than five. I'm lying. My commissions are no less than $1,000. Why? Because that covers Adobe, the time that it takes to create it, the time that it takes to send it to you to make sure it's done properly, it's licensed, making sure I'm eating, taking the necessary time and precautions to give you the time that you need your projects at that deadline. That's fair. For beats, people wanted me, they're like, oh, your stuff don't sound like it's worth. First of all, I have a degree in music. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to take my time to create something unique. No samples for you. And I stopped offering production services because people felt like $500 was a lot when that's the standard. A lot of people don't have the education of what standards are in this entertainment industry. Music industry doesn't have to be toxic. It's the lack of knowledge and education that is continue to let it go toxic. It doesn't have to be. I know many a queer, dark skinned artists who are thriving, and they were the ones who taught me these prices. I had to start taking stock in priorities of what I want in my life. And a lot of times people wanted me to be full time on their teams because they see my genius, they see what I'm worth, right? And I kept saying, no, I only do part time. And I saw how they move when it was like they couldn't control me or exploit me. So it's like, oh, well, we needed somebody full time. No, you wanted somebody to control. It's cheaper to have part time employees to do a specific, but some people have so much ego that they gotta control people, that they have too many employees, or they're doing too much, and they could have just did that. Like I was doing engineering for a podcast, and they wanted me to also do animation, but not pay me for two different things. They tried to put it all together. I'm like, no, and then they tried to rush me into it in a contract, and I took my time because anybody trying to rush you into a contract, that's a red flag. I know a lot of people don't realize that. Just know there's so many other people who can give you something better or more. The universe is always in your highest good. It's always in your favor. Always in your favor. Don't let someone outside yourself coerce you into anything. Anything. Trust your instincts, trust your intuition. Your calm heart, your second stomach is going to always tell you what is best for you. Even when your mind is like, what? Your calm heart is going to tell you, excuse me. So, I just have to put that out there because oftentimes I feel like people, they really be trying to control. They stop trying to control people. That's your problem. And a lot of people I've noticed have this struggle with trying to control me. People say, do you have trouble with authority figures? No. Me and the creator are doing really great. Me and this tree right here, we best friends. I absolutely love this tree. This tree gives me shade. It gives me birds to talk and sing to. It it gives me oxygen. I have no trouble with that real authority, the creator. I do have annoyance with beings trumping themselves as the creator. I know we're all God, right? That you are not my God. And when it's something that doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. And I won't ever in my life let anyone make me feel otherwise again. And the reason why I'm doing lives is because my laptop won't update, so I can't even edit the videos that I've done. I have so many videos. People say, why don't you send it out to Fiverr? I'm like, I gotta make money to outsource these things. I gotta, keep applying to grants because I tried the fundraising thing. And baby, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be frank about it. I don't know how to fundraise. I've tried. People say it's a spiritual thing. I'm like, no, it's not. People have hurt my feelings, my emotional state of being, my peace many times when I've asked for help. Like, I remember I was in college, right? And I started a fundraiser for a laptop when Macs were not $3,000 for some new shit, like at least 1,000 or something, for a new Mac that could have definitely helped me finish my album in less than 5 years and a whole bunch of other things that I could have got done, right? My own blood apologize for it now, but like my own cousin was just like, stop begging, blah, blah, blah. You need to work. I'm like, how I'm going to work? I'm in college 24/7. I can only get work study. Our my I went to Wesleyan University. They would not allow us to get full time jobs like that at the time. So I wasn't able to get that shit. Then I had to come back to Memphis with no job market, right? And I mean that, like, Memphis doesn't have a good job market. Many people here are having multiple jobs, and if they got one job, that one job takes up all their time, and they have to figure out with discipline how to be an artist and blah blah blah. That's not sustainable and not sustain and not okay. And I was dealing with that in college, and I couldn't like ever from then on. I vowed to myself, I'm like, fuck asking for help. I'm gonna figure it out myself. But that's not always the good thing because you become so interdependent in a toxic way that you don't know how to ask for help and accept help. And that's not good as an artist because as a if you want to start an LLC or a business, most businesses use other people's money. It's called OTP. Other people's money, OTP, other people's money. You have to ask for donors and sponsors to get things done. Or you're never gonna get the shit done. It's not gonna be sustainable. That's why you have a lot of businesses of color. People be like bootstrap, bootstrap. The people telling you to bootstrap is lying to you. They over there taking all your grant money that you didn't know about, and they are also taking all your donors that you could have had for themselves, telling you to bootstrap. But those straps break. Speaking on the panel at New Orleans Entrepreneur Week, I talked about leveraging cultural assets. And the day before that, I forget her name, but she was saying the bootstraps break for entrepreneurs all the time. So where's that support for when they fall? You know, other cultures have susu pots, but for some reason, indigenous dark skinned people, indigenous people of the Americas, who are called Black and African American. I said what I said. Go look it up. I'm not about to argue with people who don't know their history. Anywho, um, they keep each other down. They stop others from fundraising. They don't do susu pots. They don't support each other to get on. I know why systematic oppression and slavery did that. However, we don't have to do that anymore. It's 2022. It's time to move on. If you see a homie asking for money for their business and it's legitimate, you've been seeing them out there doing the work, why not help them? I don't really see the point because you didn't get it. That's stupid. That's called envy. That's a low vibration. Let's not feel that. You're not gonna go to heaven for all those people talk about heaven. You're not gonna be in heaven in your own reality now. You're going to suffer forever with a constant state of envy and jealousy. Nothing is cute about a constant state of envy or jealousy. That shit ain't healthy. Stop doing it. And instead, help your peers so you both can do well. Like right now, in this point in my life, I'm attracting my tribe. And if you tribe, you already know what I'm actually doing. No one knows my plans unless they're done now at this point. Which is why when it comes to a fundraiser, I'm just like, maybe I'm going to go to Fiverr and ask somebody to help me fundraise. Because asking, when I was in LA, asking homies who knew how, you know what somebody told me? I'm not going to say their name, but they dead ass was like, even people with leukemia can't get their fundraisers fully met. I was like, why would you tell me that? You need to lower your standards. Like, this was a black person telling me this from LA. That's why I had to leave LA. I got sick of those type of people. They have this really fucked up perception of the D South in certain metropolis areas that we're ignorant. Meanwhile, we have the education meccas, the HBCUs. We are the culture that moved up to the Northeast and the South and the West. We are the culture that is BET before it was co-opted. We are everything that is the Americas. Without us, there would be nothing here. Not a thing. So, that shit got on my nerves. Classism from my own people. Ooh, it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Guess what? I don't give a fuck about it anymore. If you watching this, I'm so grateful. Thanks for being here. Ways to support me now, if you're wondering. My Cash App, my Venmos, buying my art, donating to my fundraiser, and becoming a sponsor who equivalently in the end of certain projects will get royalties from it. That's why I like the blockchain. See, it ain't just a regular fundraise anymore. On the blockchain, when you fundraise and you fund my stuff and you support me, you get something in return. It's called a mutual relationship for a reason. And sometimes mutual relationships, people just want to see you do well. So thank you for your time. Your time is something you can't get back from watching this video, and I'm really grateful that you were here. Thank y'all. J Mac out. I need to go eat and drink more water. Where my water? And I will see y'all later.